Hey guys, it's Todd here. I will be reacting to two infographics show videos by these guys. I guess they have 9 million subs. I will be reacting, are you different than the average teen? And how do you compare to the average person? This one was uploaded 2 years ago, so we'll see how accurate it is to the average teen. It's probably still going to be super accurate. They're just going to forget TikTok from their list of social media. So, I also don't like how they characterize nerds with having poor eyesight. How dare you call me a nerd just because I have poor eyesight, even though that is true and I am a nerd, but how dare you? Why can't nerds... Why do you have to fall into one category of popular kids and nerds? Why can't you be both? I mean, Vsauce is like... both, technically. He's a nerd and a popular guy on YouTube. So... get wrecked, infographic show. Anyway, let's see how I compare. Spoiler alert, I'm very different.
Was life easier for previous generations? Do teenagers
No.
today have a bright future to look forward to? Or have they
With the Democrats, no way.
inherited a world more competitive than that of their parents?
I
What do
party all the
teenagers today
time.
spend
This is my life, Ma. I sit...
all day doing? Is a life connected to a handheld
Are you holding a phone?
device
Or what? I can't
beneficial
see.
to today's teenagers, or would they be happier in an unconnected world?
I
Today we'll be
wouldn't.
looking into the life of modern teenagers and seeing how they spend their time, what they enjoy doing, and how their development could well be hindered by today's rapid lifestyle.
Most common traits of today's teenagers. Let's see here. Which one of these... Despite of gender, just how they're dressed up, really, which one would I look like the most? Definitely not this guy. I don't... Well, I don't wear jeans, either. I'm just gonna go ahead and say... Probably the girl on the left is probably the one I would
In
most
this episode
like.
of the Infographic Show, most common traits of today's teenagers. Let's first look at the psychology of teenagers and how it develops. So, little Johnny
Little Johnny. Whoa, buddy.
grows up, and around the age of 13, that sweet little smile disappears. He begins
What?
to frown and become isolated. If
What?
you look close enough at the temples on his head, you might be able to see tiny little horns begin to grow.
What the
Johnny
hell?
seems to be, to his parents' horror, turning into a little monster.
Well, that's not me.
Teenagers develop a streak of independence, and parents often find it hard to reach out and relate to them. They are becoming their own person. This is a
I have
natural
your
part of
allowance.
human evolution.
It's like, yeet. Oh, I thought the guy on the right was the teenager. Oh.
That we all experience.
This is
The
not a
problem
very good
is,
show. It's terrible. Boo.
teenagers are still, for the most part, reliant on their parents. They
Yeah.
need their parents for food and shelter, for their education, and for their day-to-day expenses.
She's just like, what? How could you? I just take your money, don't appreciate it, and now you're not gonna give it anymore? Oh, how could you? That's her face expression right now.
So although a fierce independence is a teenage trait, in a practical sense, they are still usually being cared for. This creates
Yeah,
conflict,
that's true.
and teenagers are normally always experiencing some type of conflict. Teenagers often withdrawn to
I experience political conflict. That's the only one I do.
their own space and construct a world whereby
Not with anybody in my family, though.
they are alone and independent. Nobody, apart from some close friends, really understands them. Nobody has ever experienced
My mom is so annoying. Mine too! 3 exclamation points. Yeah, like we really need 3 to character. Guys, whatever, let's keep
the
going.
feelings that they are feeling. Teens rely more heavily on their own decisions rather than the advice of their elders, trying to learn how to think and act for themselves for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just gonna listen to other people tell you how to think your whole life, you're not gonna get anywhere in life and not be your own person.
They find they have separate goals from their parents, their peers, and their teachers, and often
Oh my god, she's pissed. She's like, I'm mad at you for not becoming an accountant like I have been for the last 35 years, been bored out of my mind. How dare you?
isolate themselves with their own thoughts, feelings, and ambitions. Teenagers also begin to take more risks as they grow up. No longer will they need to
Explain risks, dude.
hold their parents' hand while crossing the road or have a book read to them. Oh no.
Wait, well, I mean, it depends what book. We don't mind getting read books to us, it's just that we don't need books read to us. Like, if one of my teachers reads the book on, How babies are made. There, that's a fun topic. Here, listen to teachers talk about.
Oh, those years are long behind them. Again, this is to do with evolution. Dr. Paul Mardiket, author of the book The Teenage Brain, observes that the brain of a teenager is not yet fully developed, particularly within the frontal lobes.
What?
These lobes are the areas of the brain responsible for decision making and the weighing up of potential consequences following dangerous activity.
Dangerous
Even the
activity.
most well-balanced teen will have a tendency to behave in ways that seem odd or risky to their elders.
What have I done to my elders? I fit into the category of, what would he say, most well-balanced teen? That's me.
But then again, many adults also act in ways that may seem bizarre and risky to a teenager.
Yeah.
During the early high school years, kids generally become more extroverted. They begin to establish closer friends with
Really? I never felt very introverted in my life. I don't know if that's true, actually, but I can say I'm definitely characterized as an extrovert. I don't know if I don't think it's because of growing up, though.
in their peer groups rather than their parents. Even teenagers who are naturally introverted will experience
Jeez, that phone is just vibrates. Look at the phone vibrating like this. Whose phone vibrates that much to go like this, and how's it still on the bench is what I want to know. What insane technology is this? And what parent gets that for their teenager where it's just, oh, vibrate. Ugh. It's like when it's in their pocket, the teenagers just start going, ugh, my phone's ringing. Jeez.
a developmental stage in their teens when communication and interaction seem like the most important things in the world. By doing this,
It's probably just my mom. Yeah. Well, you were right, unless that's your aunt or your sister that's like 10 years older than you.
teenagers are preparing for early childhood and a time in the future when personal relationships
Hey, they're both right.
are essential for work and family life. Parents should be willing to let their teenage children spend time with their friends, but
Yeah.
monitor who those friends are.
Why?
Teenagers begin to experience new emotions as they develop.
I
Hormones
don't.
flood through their
And you know, the weird thing is I never did
body,
ever, and I
meaning
still
that they will
don't.
begin to consider romantic attachments for
I-
probably the first time in their lives.
No.
Mostly this is harmless flirting online.
Oh, whoa, someone's got some pictures in the background. Ooh, Miss Miami there is looking mad. Oh, look at
Or
you.
perhaps a crush on a celebrity. Sometimes these hormones might lead to early romantic attachments and to coupling with members of their preferred sex. This may be harmless enough, or could lead to unwanted pregnancy,
Aha!
a lifetime commitment that neither teenager is equipped emotionally to
Well,
deal with.
that's what
Having
they
just left-
deserve if they're so stupid and can't keep it out of like this. If they're dumb enough that they can't prevent this from going on, then that's their fault and they deserve all the consequences that come with it.
childhood
It's
themselves.
not that hard.
Parents can't control their children's chemistry, so instead they should educate them on the dangers of early parenting.
Wait a minute, no, why did parents don't need to teach the kids that? You literally learn that twice in school. I learned that first in 5th grade, then again in 7th grade. Parents don't need to have to talk with their kids if school does it twice.
Good. But what do teenagers like to do? A family technology education nonprofit group called Common Sense Media surveyed 2,600 youths as recently as November 2015. Their census shows that teens are spending over a third of their average day, or 9 hours, online using social media, watching videos, or listening to music.
Yeah,
the survey
that's
also
true.
showed that teenagers are multitasking.
Okay, I can agree with that. That's definitely me. Not the social media part, but mainly watching videos.
For example, they may be listening to music online while
Or playing video games.
shopping, or while traveling to and from school. Teens from lower income backgrounds tend to use online media more often
That's
on average
not
in
me.
comparison with those teens with higher income families.
I'm not part of the lower class. I'm in the middle
the
class. If
2010
you couldn't
Kaiser
tell,
Family Foundation
I
study
don't live in an apartment.
estimated that teenagers are online for 8 hours a day.
Yeah,
According
that's
to a
me.
2015
Definitely.
survey
Maybe
by
even
Piper
more.
Jaffray, teens
Probably
all-
like 12 hours, 13 hours a day, me. I mean, that's counting video games too, I
also
guess.
do a fair amount of shopping online, with over 60% of teens saying that they prefer to buy clothes over the internet rather than visiting the store and trying on the garments first.
I don't really ever, yes, other than my birthday and Christmas, which is the time when you're supposed to get presents, I guess. Supposed, in quotation marks, supposed. I don't really shop that at all. The only time, yeah, other than my birthday and Christmas, I don't ever ask for anything really. Other than the new Call of Duty, I guess. But otherwise, I never really ask for anything, so I'm not a shopper.
Each generation in history is molded not only by their parents' views
God, you can tell which one's the teenager right now. Oh my
on
god.
the world, but also partly by social, political, cultural, and economic factors. Today's teenagers are among the first whose entire lives has existed with cell phone technology and social media. Psychologist
Alright,
Jean
cool.
Twenge put this new generation under the microscope in her book iGen.
Whoa, whoa, are we all part of an experiment? Is the whole Earth here, guys? Are we just a scientist watching us down from Earth, or from above the, oh dear god.
Today's super connected kids are
Our world can get squashed at any moment, and we're just sitting here doing nothing about it.
growing up less rebellious, more tolerant, less happy, and completely unprepared for adulthood and what that means for the rest of us. That's quite a mouthful.
Why? Unhappy? No, that's not me. Unprepared for adulthood. Blame it on my mom for not teaching me how to cook.
After looking into a number of national surveys of 11 million teenagers since the 1960s, she concludes that iGens, or modern teens, have a poorer state
Pretty sure it's called Gen X. What's this? Millennials versus Generation Z. Interesting.
of mental health in comparison with previous generations. New media causes anxiety, loneliness, and panic disorders, along with sleep loss, according to Dr. Twenge.
I don't
She comes
talk about CNN right there. I don't think media's ever caused me any of that.
to these conclusions by pointing to figures displaying national rises in mental health problems among teens and drawing parallels
That's
with
not
the
me.
increase in cell phones. But what Twenge
That's literally not me. I don't even have one.
gets to
With service, at least. The last one I had that worked was this one. Never had service. I literally only used it a few times for camera for the videos, but otherwise, I never used this. Also, the battery has been dead for a year to 2 years now. And, like, it's so old it won't charge. So, yeah, I don't need one. I already have a computer.
mention in her book is that correlation doesn't mean causation. As we mentioned before, teenagers are more sensitive to the world around them due to natural changes in hormone and brain activity, so this could be an equally good explanation as to why mental health problems are on the rise in teens. And
Slow down, dude. I agree with the first sentence, not the second one. But the first one, yeah, because now I'm realizing, hey, this guy's a bad person to be the president. And then this person's good. He has the blonde hair. He's a good president.
then we factor in the larger general awareness of mental health
Wait, why was that's yeah? I've definitely done that before.
issues due in part to information on the internet. We also tend to diagnose mental illness earlier nowadays owing to our better understanding of these
I
conditions.
don't have any
Twenge
illnesses.
also explains in her book that teenagers are spending less time with their friends in person, and this is difficult to
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm definitely the person on the top right. I prefer and always will prefer meeting in person than on a freaking phone or whatever, whenever I can. It's just, I don't like talking over a phone more than in person, as that's just not who I am. I have less fun doing that.
dispute when we look at the alleged 6 hours a day spent on the cell phone. But can this
I spend 0 hours. I spend 0 seconds a day on a cell phone. So take that, average teen.
time, if used to chat on social media, really be described as time actually spent alone? And how healthy is this kind of interaction? Teens might be growing up at a slower rate than before. One
Why?
theory, known as life history theory, postulates that the rate in which teens grow up is in direct correlation with how hostile their immediate environment is. or at
Hostile?
least
What?
their perception of their environment.
Oh.
So in this theory, a
Oh,
teen
no.
growing up in a war-stricken country would, if he survived, be more likely
But that's clearly a she, not a he.
to marry and become a parent at a younger age.
What?
If the environment is perceived to be hostile, teens employ a fast life strategy to grow up more rapidly and create larger families to form larger survival groups. On the other side of the coin, a slow life strategy, where the environment is perceived less hostile, gives rise to a slower rate of development. And this might explain why teens are not rushing to
Look at
buy
this
that
dude.
car, get married, and
Wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's the exact same guy.
And
Wait,
this might
maybe that's the guy from right there, but that's his son now, and he looks identical to his father. I figured it out.
might explain why teens are not rushing to buy that car, get married, and have kids as quickly as they did in previous generations.
They're probably, I
So,
don't know.
what do you think are the
I
most
don't.
common
Whoa! Whoa! What? Whoa! Her reaction on the right, yeah, definitely. What did we do?
Teenagers today? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to watch our other
dear
video
God.
called Google versus Facebook. Thanks for watching,
Oh,
and as always,
dear
don't
God,
forget-
Facebook is just god off. Why would you? Okay, who Googles that? What do you think? If you're a man, the answer is no. If you're a woman, the answer is yes. Did you not learn that in school? It's a clear answer to that question. Dear God. That's just awful. Alright, so what we take away from that video. One or two things were right about the video comparing me to the average teen. Everything else, just no. The 98 other things was a big no. Alright, now let's go. How do I compare to the average person? Now, I don't know if comparing to the average person... I didn't watch the video. I just gave it a like before when I put it in. I watched later. So this is a year ago. Alright.
This video was
made... calm down. Now, I don't know if it's comparing everyone in the whole world. Maybe it's gonna get like a bunch of average people from like the average American, the average European, and a bunch of other guys, average Canadian, just for example. Or I don't know. Maybe that's what it might do. We'll see.
Made possible by Wix. If you're ready to
Quit
you
sponsoring.
smile at least once a day,
All right.
spend at least a few hours sleeping. On top of that,
Yeah.
you think, you talk, you look around, you breathe, you sit, stand, feel, grate your teeth, and likely most of you smile at least once a day. But as the body doesn't get a few hours off, you are constantly doing things you might not even realize you're doing. Good
Oh,
gracious,
whoa,
you
he's mad.
might even use curse words a lot more than you think you do.
Boom,
So
got
today
him.
we're going to find out just
don't
what most of
use
us
any.
get up to. Let's start with something we do all the time, and most of that time we're not
What's something we do all the time? Get older. Got him.
aware we're doing it. Can you guess what it is? No, it's not picking your nose. It's blinking. Science tells us something that is quite mind-blowing, and that is the fact that most of us spend about 10% of the time we're awake with our eyes closed. That's partly because we
yeah.
blink so often. It's said that we blink 15 to 20 times a minute, but we just don't know we're doing it.
Watch, I'm gonna break that average. Look at that. I'm not the average person. I blink 300 times a minute.
And that adds up, and it comes to 1,200 blinks an hour, which is
Alright.
a staggering 28,000 blinks a day. But why do we do this? Well, part of it's to keep our eyes lubricated. But
Yeah, I was about to say keep our eyes moist and not dry, obviously.
scientists in Japan in a 2012 study said it's also to give our brain a break. They
Oh.
say these tiny blinks are like going offline for a very short time. We go into what's called a default mode network, which is our brain's idle mode. It's a bit like when your phone goes idle after not using it. So next time someone asks you what you do and you don't know what to say, tell them you're a blinker, a full-time blinker.
I'm a full-time blinker, guys. You hear that? My job is to blink. And they would be studied in Japan or whatever, wherever he said that study was at.
What else are you? Well, you're a smiler too, but we're not as prolific at smiling as we are at blinking
I'm a
by a long
smiler.
way. It's said happy people will smile about 50 times a day, and when these smiles are natural, they're good for us. As one scientist wrote, smiling stimulates our brain's reward mechanisms in a way that even chocolate, a well-regarded pleasure inducer, cannot match.
I don't
Average
drink
folks
chocolate.
might just smile 20
No,
times a day.
that's a lie. I drink chocolate. I don't eat chocolate. I drink chocolate milk protein mix.
One journal wrote that young children are much better at smiling than adults. They might smile around 380 times a day.
Oh, God.
Young children might also laugh around 300 times a day.
Oh, God.
While us grumpy big people might just manage 17 laughs a day. Psychology Today
I'm a grumpy person. I don't laugh at all.
seems to think these numbers are a bit high, but adds that we really should always be trying to laugh more. But now something more important than mere happiness. How many times do we experience flatulence in a day?
God,
You
3,000?
don't know
I
what that is? We mean, how often do you let one rip, break wind, pass gas, cut the cheese, or as some people say, have a back-end blowout?
You can just say fart,
Flatologists, the people who study the science, or some might say art of
I'm gonna make a prediction, say 36,000 times a day.
the sphincter siren, tell us what we already know from experience. That
Boom.
is, not all air biscuits are the same.
Boom.
Some smell and
Did it
some
again.
don't. Some
Oh
make a
God,
loud
he's just laying it rip, and she's just like, how could you do that in front of me? I'm your, what is she? Nah, it's just a sister, never mind.
noise and others can be quiet.
Dear God. She's like, I can't handle this. She just died from it.
But deadly.
He's all happy about it. He's like, yes, I finally got rid of my sister. After 23 years, I finally did it.
As far as for how much farting we do,
Oh,
well,
God.
that depends on your system and what
Ugh.
you've eaten that day, but on average, a person will let around 20 go per day. Healthline
What?
tells us that any more than that is excessive, and you might want to cut down on the beans and broccoli.
Oh.
Another
I was only a little bit off, guys, by about 35,980.
source tells us that the average Joe or Joanna will fire a stink tornado
Joanna? What? What's the average Joe and Joanna?
13 to 21 times a day. Don't let anyone call you lazy again.
I'm doing my best, guys. I'm trying to produce as much as I can. Don't worry, I'm doing my best.
And you can add to farting yawning, because
What?
we do a fair bit of that too. In fact, we yawn about as much as we fart and laugh, which is an average of about 20 times a day,
Really?
according to one study. We yawn when we're tired, of course, but we also let a yawn go at other times, such as when we're bored, nervous, see someone else yawn, or are just trying to get a bit more oxygen.
Alright, cool.
While you're busy blinking, smiling, farting, yawning,
My
we're
God.
often trying to get places. How many steps do we take each day?
Oh,
Your phone probably tells you that.
how many steps do I take? I mean, my Fitbit's never right, but it says 626 already. Because I haven't moved a lot this morning. I haven't gone on a jog or anything related to that.
But studies have been done, at least in the USA. One such study consisted of over 100,000 participants, all at working age, found that the daily steps on average for each person was
Oh.
6,886. Another study looked at a few more countries, and the study showed us that the average Swiss person walked 9,650 steps
Well,
a
look
day.
at that. The Swiss are much more. Wait, the average person of everyone, or the American was like 6,886?
Japanese people walk 7,168 steps a day. Australians 7,400 steps. Brits 6,322
Oh.
steps. French 6,330 steps. And
Oh
Germans
my god, the French beat the British by 8 steps. Oh my god.
6,337 steps.
Oh, and the Germans beat the French by only 7 steps. Boom!
According to some experts on health, getting in 5,000 steps isn't too bad. But if you don't do any other form of exercise, one expert says you
get
might
fat.
add perhaps 3,000 more steps in the day. Now on to the serious matter, for some of our viewers anyway.
What is this Disney Mickey Mouse looking car? What is this? They're like, get out of the road, you a-hole. Quit looking in the mirror.
Of cursing. For non-Americans, that means swearing, using what we might call bad language, aka profanity. First of all, what is
Yeah,
bad language?
it's not
Oh,
hell.
Heck, is that bad?
No.
What about DAM?
Yeah, asking Bob the Builder here is heck bad.
Bad for some, harmless to many, somewhere in the middle for others. And then we have the manifold F word. which is
Friday is
universal-
my favorite F word. Say the F word. Friday. My favorite one, because it's... Why was Friday your favorite day of the week? You guys still got... People still gotta work on Friday. Saturday's the best day of the week, because you don't have to work and you don't have to get up, or you don't have to go to bed at a certain time. And you don't have to worry about waking up early the next day to go to work.
universally accepted as a bad word, yet also part of many people's daily locutions. As for the C word, well, this can sink battleships in some people's world.
My
But
dear
mo-
God, this guy is insane. He's just... Dear God, he's gonna get fired.
Most of us do it, use bad language.
I don't.
And we do it a lot more than we think we do. One study tells
wait,
us
I
that
don't,
we are
though.
curse masters, on average at least, with most of us using bad language about 80 times a day.
It's probably
Good grief.
That's probably true, but not me. I can guarantee I have an average of 0 times a day. Unless you consider hell a bad word, but it's not a bad word. And if you think hell is a bad word, then hell, 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 hell.
Ain't that a lot of swearing? We looked at other sources as we just didn't bloody believe people are that profane.
But they are.
A study at a U.S. university
Just ask this guy in the background here. He seems like he's bald enough
in
to know the answer.
2011 told us that about 0.5% of all the language we use will be bad language.
Oh.
Sacre bleu, that's a lot of swearing for you average people. Sometimes
What?
you absolutely know when you're cussing, but many other times those words just slip into sentences and you don't even know
It's like, oh, I'm... What? He swore at that little son of a bitch.
you've used them. What about just words, any words? Okay, so some of us are quiet and spend a lot of time alone.
Is she
and
doing
some
the
of us
splits?
are talkative and are always around others. But science has come up with averages. Past research told us that women talk more than men, on average uttering 20,000 words a day. For men, it was only 7,000. That's
Okay, lady, make up your mind. There is literally, unless you consider it, that looks like dark blue to me. You could also say it's purple. But counting that, there is 4 different shades of blue. This one, This one in the middle there's kind of like blue-green. Make up your mind, lady. Blue's not specific enough.
6,920 words that won't get you in trouble. Some people refute this. Another study found that men on average speak 15,600.
Blue would be nice, but yellow is more joyful. And green blends better with the curtains. Let's take pink as a compromise. How is that logic?
699 words a day, and women 16,215.
Okay.
Other research shows we speak at least 7,000 words a day. We've talked about peeing
Oh,
and pooping
God.
in another show, so we won't talk much about this delicate subject. On average, you'll leave the kids at the pool once a day, while you'll take a leak on average 4 to 7 times a day. Also,
Okay.
kinda related to this is burping, because food and drink makes us do it. While we might
Oh my
not
god, why did you give us the most like fat children ever to represent this? My god, they're children. It's a guy, and how is he pregnant too?
be aware of it, health sites tell us after every meal the average person will burp about 3 to 6 times. If you tend to burp more, watch out for the dreaded gastroesophageal reflux disease, aka GERD.
What?
Meanwhile, your salivary glands are always working, producing
That's
spit that you
true.
usually just swallow.
Yeah,
Believe it or not,
that's
in
true.
one day, the average person makes around 2 to 4 pints of saliva. You're a spit factory.
I
It's
don't know
just
how
a
much
pity
that is.
you can't bottle it and sell this organic brew. And what are many of you doing right now? Looking at your phone. How many times do you do that in one day?
Wow,
No
playing
one's
your own video in your own video. I see how it's gonna go.
study agrees on the number. Some say 150 times, but that's the younger generation, which is many of you.
Yeah, you got an average teen video back there we already watched. You don't need to do it again. I look at a phone. Looks at the wait, what is the phone? Like the singular phone. One person's phone. No, 0 times a day for me.
But if we include all Americans, the average was 80 times a day,
Oh,
which
okay.
is once every 12 minutes, according to another study.
That's-
And again,
That is just terrible. That is just god awful.
that is quite the work rate. As for how many hours a day we spend online on any device, in the USA, according to one study, it was 6.5 hours on average. The Thai spent the
For me,
most time
longer.
online at 9 hours and 38 minutes a day.
I
Next,
belong
and
in the
still over
Thai.
9 hours were the Philippines, Brazil, and Indonesia. If you've been lucky enough to visit these countries, you'll know just by looking around that people seem to be staring at their phones a lot.
Oh, let's go to this country. Oh, why I'm just texting. This phone's broken. I don't care if anything happens to it. It's broken. It doesn't work. I can take this case off if I really wanted. Here's the phone. There's probably nothing on the bottom. Apparently this works with Beats Audio. I mean, not anymore, but because the battery doesn't charge anymore, but it used to. The phone is useless. I could throw it out. I also have another one right here. This stopped working like probably like 2 years before that other phone here. This one is just god awful. It is so slow. Like this is so god awfully slow. This one also doesn't charge anymore. Is this the battery? Oh god, it's like sticky on the back. I just use this to... Okay, wait, hold on a minute. Okay. Look at this gigantic battery here. It's gigantic. There's a battery release. This is... I wonder if... No, I don't think changing the battery would make this phone work again. I don't think so. But yeah, this phone is like super old. It's just so god awfully slow. Like I see it a mile away when it was gonna break down.
Then again, there are plenty of statistics on this, and they all bear different results. But as this show is mainly about things we're not always aware we're doing, let's just say most of us will be checking our phones several times an hour.
0 times
And
an hour for
let's
me.
not forget the one thing you have to do, yet rarely ever think about doing. That's breathing, of course. It all depends on what you're doing, moving, relaxing, running, sleeping, but on average, you'll breathe about 12 to 20 times a minute if you're at rest. That adds up to 17,000 to 30,000 breaths per day. This is for adults and young adults.
You call this at rest, buddy? You call this at rest? You call that at rest?
Toddlers and babies breathe a lot more.
Oh.
We're also told that if you're an active person who exercises and just walks about a lot, you'll probably make in the region of 50,000 breaths a day.
That's
Just
probably
hearing
me.
that is tiring, eh? No doubt, if you're exhausted after finding out all these things you're doing every day of your life, how do you
Whoa, your tablet could easily break, ma'am. You should be careful with that.
even get the time to do other things, such as work, study, do chores? Maybe it's time you took a day off and focused more on your farting, blinking, saliva making, etc.
Why would I take a whole day to focus on that when I could take 5 seconds to think, hey, I'm doing all these things. Alright, back to whatever I was doing.
The average Joe does a lot of things in a day.
He
And
doesn't
believe it or
use
not,
Wix,
one
is
of
what
those
I'll tell
things
you.
doesn't have to take the whole day.
What I'll tell you is that no, we don't use Wix, the average person. It looks like there's some other infographics show things I could react to, but I'm not gonna do that right now because I just don't need to. So anyway, so what we got out of this is well, the average person was probably more accurate because it wasn't all personality, it was probably half personality. I think the average person was more accurate than the average teen. I mean, comparing to me, you know, of course I wasn't going to be in that average teen video, of course, but this one I felt like it was more accurate than the other one, so not everything, of course, you know. If you fall under every single thing in this average person video, well then change something about your life and get off your goddamn phone for once, is what I'll tell you.
Thank you all for watching. Give this vid a liking. Go subscribe for much more. Comments I don't ignore. And post notifications.